We can now bring this meeting of the Code Revision Committee and call it to order. For the sake of, just in case, because we want to be able to maintain quorum in order to continue business, and I know that it is a very busy time. Right now, the current committee rules say that quorum for this committee is 6 members, and we need a majority of the attending members to agree to any change to the rules, and so I am recommending reducing that number to 4 members. I want to see if there's any objection to that. Very well, yes, sir. Representative Pack.
Given the fact that all the bills that come through code revision is vetted by Welch Council on many occasions, I would like to so move, Mr. Chairman, to change the rule.
Very well. Is there a second on that motion? Very well. Any other discussion? All in favor of changing the rule to 4 members for quorum, say aye. All opposed?
No.
Okay. Very well. The rules are amended to 4 members for a quorum. Now we have before us Senate Bill 340. And Senator Stone, we invite you to...
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate all the kind words. This is the annual revisor bill that we've been waiting for. And I've looked it over, and I'm confident that our staff here that's represented by Ms. Howerton have done a good job of reconciling all the different bills that came out last session, to make sure they're in as consistent as possible without error, and citations and grammar and things of a non-substantive nature. However, there is a provision in the bill that does codify a practice that of code interpretation, and that's on page 9. You can see the underlined provisions, line 53 through 269. This makes it clear that bills that are going to be interpreted in as much as possible in a way that will give full effect to both or 2 or multiple bills, however many there are that have an apparent conflict. And it also codifies a rule of decision as to how to interpret them with order in the event of an unreconcilable conflict. And the last bill is the one that trumps. I believe that takes care of the presentation, unless we have questions.
Any questions from members of the committee? Representative Pack.
Chairman Stone, the last section you just described, that's last bill that's signed into law by the governor, correct?
Right.
Okay.
That's your reading of it. That was my reading of it.
Representative Welch.
Senator, the language that we're dealing with in pari materia, this is lines 254 through 256. Is this dealing with if you're having 2 separate bills that are enacted in the same General Assembly and then amending the same statutory provision? Is that what we're talking about, or that seems to be what the context of this is? But I'm just trying to make sure.
I don't think yes, if you look back up to 255, it does indicate that this kicks in where legislation amends the same statutory provision.
Okay.
And I think this is a commonly accepted rule, decision criteria for interpreting legislation.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? We do have an amendment. Senator Stone, did you want to speak to that amendment, or do we have?
Yes, we do have an amendment. Mr. Chairman, that is AM 33-1419. What that bill amendment rather does is correct an inconsistency that was in Senate Bill 61 from last year, dealing with self-storage, the self-storage industry, and the sending of notices. There's a two-step procedure for sending notices. One is by email or verified mail. And if receipt is not received, documenting delivery by either way, then it allows an option of, the first method is email or overnight delivery service. If either of those don't result in a delivery, it allows for verified mail as a fallback provision. Where the inconsistency lay was further down, where timing was the time provision for the notice, which is 14 days, was tied to delivery. But since the bill itself in the preceding paragraph had delivery and then a non-necessarily documented delivery method, to make those consistent, the word delivery was struck and is sent was added.
And this is all on page 3.
That's all on page 3. And if you look up to the provisions from lines 86 through 96, you can see that two-part method of sending notice. One is one that has some method of establishing delivery. That's either a response, non-automated response to email, or by overnight delivery service, and then the other is deals with if you don't get non-automated response, that's on line 93, or a receipt of delivery, then you have the option of going with verified mail, sending notice. And it's the sending of the notice and that is referred to on line 103 in the amendment, the amended language. Otherwise, we're left without any period after the sending, the second method of giving notice.
Representative Welch for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, what this would do is effectively it would shave off about 3 to 5 days in terms of delivery time. If you're going to...
you have to attempt delivery first.
Right. So but if I'm reading this correctly, then after delivery of the notice, so it's not less than 14 days after the notice is sent. So the sending of it, and are you trying to establish that there is actually a confirmation that there has been a delivery, or that
The first step is the attempt to have confirmation of a delivery, either by email or by overnight mail, a return receipt or whatever, verified delivery. But it provides after that if you can't confirm delivery, then you can verify mailing, and that is a sending. There's no delivery or receipt tied to that, and that's when the 14 days relates to.
Okay, so by that you've already done a certified mail attempt, and
right, or email, one or the other, and it did not result in delivery.
In delivery, and then thereafter you try again.
Exactly.
Okay.
Any other questions? Representative Pack.
Chairman Snow, just to clarify, it looks like you were adding or email address in line 68 for the last known address, meaning that you're assuming that in the rental application or agreement they would collect that information.
Right, and in the form, I believe the contract form that is part of the bill as it was enacted was you get that information if they have it, if they have email.
Okay. And then I was looking at, here's where I was confused. It looks like to be existing law on page 3 on line 87. Is that existing law? It says occupant shall be notified of owner's intent to enforce the lien by written notice delivered in person by verified mail. It says or by email.
Email was a change in the law. That was added. That was a change that the SB 61 changed from the
So that is current code.
pre-existing law to facilitate, expedite, save money.
Okay.
Representative Stovall.
Hi, Senator.
Good
I
afternoon.
have a question going back to the Senate Bill 340 on line 394. What was the reason for scratching out, striking through with respect to registered professional nurses and
All right.
and all of that?
Let me get there.
Okay.
That's on page 13.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to have to call upon, with permission, Miss Betsy Howerton.
Okay.
Yeah, last year you all passed a bill that combined the two boards of nursing into one, and they regulate both the RNs and the LPNs. So this language was obsolete. So it's just a truing up to what the rest of the code says now with respect to just the one nursing board.
Okay. I remember us doing that. Okay. Thank you.
Representative Barr.
Senator, I apologize for jumping back and forth, but I'm back over on the amendment, page 3.
Okay.
Just in regards to after delivery, and we struck that.
What line?
I'm sorry, 103.
Okay.
The notice was sent. When we go from certified mail, say, to email, and if I'm the business owner and the last email they gave me, I send it to that email address. Is that relieve the burden from me, or do I actually have to? Is there a mechanism where I know that they received that?
Well, with email, there is a method of getting a non-automated response. That is, you can know whether it's been received on the other end.
Do we protect? I guess I'm wondering. Well, in here it just says if I as the business owner send it, and my responsibility is gone. But would like to make sure that those folks actually receive that.
Well, that, if they don't receive it, and you didn't send it by overnight delivery, then the bill provides another
Right.
alternative
Okay.
method of verified mail.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
And I would say that sent also makes it consistent with the provision that deals with when notice is presumed sent. It is laid out on line 89 and 90. So this makes it all internally consistent.
Any other questions? Okay, we are ready for action on these bills. The first thing we will do is consider the amendment to Senate Bill 340, which is AM 331419. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll recommend that we amend Senate Bill 340 LC number 335266 with the amendment AM 331419.
Very well. Motion on the floor. Is there a second? Very well. And the motion is made and a second to amend Senate Bill 340 with Amendment 331419. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Very well. Now you have before you Senate Bill 340 as amended. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we recommend approval for Senate Bill 340 as amended.
Very well.
We're passing as committee substitute.
Yeah, we can pass it as a committee substitute.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's
it would
right.
be-
Now it's amended, so it's a substitute. So the motion is to recommend approval, is to approve Senate Bill 340 as a committee substitute.
Very well. There's the motion. Is there a second? There is a second. And before I do that, any more discussion? Very well. All in favor of the Senate substitute, or the committee substitute to Senate Bill 340, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Very well.
Thank you very much.
Senator Stone, thank you. And with no further business, we are adjourned.